What's going on, you guys? Back with another video. In this video, I want to talk about the fearful avoidant versus the narcissist silence. Now, a fearful avoidant normally use silence as a way to block out rejection or to avoid possible rejection. You know, they kind of get ahead of themselves when they think about what can happen, what are the possibilities. And normally their mind goes straight to the negative thoughts, like what's the worst that can happen. So, that's where the fearful comes in at. You know, they'd rather just avoid communicating altogether. And that's why they go silent, they go into their shell, they go into hiding, and not in a way to where you can't reach out to them, but they rather you reach out to them first, you know. And a lot of times, now I don't agree with that. I believe that a person should be able to speak up and communicate, express themselves clearly so that both people can know where they stand. Like, it should be an understanding between the two to where it doesn't always end up like that when things just go silent. That can be very awkward between two people and leaving both not knowing what happened. And again, you don't want to get used to that type of pattern with anybody because you might end up being the one to always reach out first. Check out my last upload on that. And I don't agree with that either. Again, both people should be able to come to an agreement on how they feel about things. You shouldn't have to guess what another person is thinking. No one should have to guess what you're thinking because we cannot read each other's minds. And so, again, that makes the fearful feel a little bit more protected. If they could just avoid possible rejection altogether, they just go silent. A lot of times they don't know how to engage and just keep it up without feeling like, okay, well, now they don't want to talk to me anymore. They love to jump to negative conclusions about things, and it could have a lot to do with whatever they dealt with in the past, and they carry that along with them well into adulthood, and it's very unhealthy for two people to communicate in that way, especially with one feeling like they have to carry the conversation all the time and kind of like put words into another person's mouth, make it easy on them for, speaking on how I think you feel. It's like they know what they feel. It's just that they need to say it, even though it is negative thoughts. Speak it so that we could be clear on things, and the person who they're dealing with can clear it up. If I feel like if I reach out to you, I don't know, it could be so much easier if a fearful would just be like, I was afraid to say this because I thought that maybe, you wouldn't like it or whatever, or you would just, you know, reject it or just shoot it down. And then that gives the person a chance to respond. But you can't just go into conclusions thinking that, oh, well, you didn't like me and, I just had already came to the conclusion that you didn't like me. And it's like, where did you get that from? Because you didn't hear it from me. You got that from your own thoughts. Like, that's the way you think. But that was not in my mind. And that's not how I feel. So, that makes things clear between the two when a fearful starts to communicate the way they should and express themselves better. They have to come out of their shell in that protective mode of always feeling like I'm safe. I'm safe here and I don't have to say that. I don't have to deal with it. And it'll just go away. And it's like it's not gonna go away. Like, what's the whole point of dealing with someone? Like, if they're in a relationship, what's the point of being in a relationship with someone if you cannot communicate your feelings to them thoroughly? Like, no one should have to read your mind because we just not capable of doing it. And we shouldn't have to try to figure out what another person thinks. But again, that explains the fearful avoidance silence. when they go silent, I don't believe that they're trying to hurt anybody. I believe that that's their way of protecting their own feelings, you know, thinking that maybe they'll be rejected. So that's their way of protecting themselves against rejection. Now, the narcissist. With a narcissist, when they go silent, their silence most likely has a lot to do with the silent treatment, which is a form of punishment. And they know that their silence is going to hurt you. Because if you reach out to the narcissist during the silent treatment, you may not get nothing back for a while. Days, weeks, maybe even months. And you can live under the same roof with a narcissist and they will still give you the silent treatment. They don't care, you know. And so that's where their silence come in. It speaks punishment. It's teaching you a lesson. And when you compare that to a fearful avoidant, when they become silent, let me give y'all an example. It's like I say, when you make it easy for the fearful by kind of finishing their sentences or just telling them, I know what you was thinking. You probably was afraid. And they're like, yeah. But you have to say that, though. Like, we cannot go through this too much longer with me playing both roles. I got to be myself, and then I got to be you and figure out your thoughts and what you feel like and just constantly babysit them, you know. And a grown-up shouldn't go through life being that way anyway. Like, you're going to run into some rough riders who really going to hurt your feelings. And I mean, not deliberately, but you just got to toughen up. And that's anybody. You know, you got to be able to separate when a person is deliberately being an ass and just trying to hurt you and being rude, and when they're just being straight up and giving you good, silent, constructive criticism, you know. Got to be able to separate the two. That's one of the struggles that the fearful goes through. But again, an example of the narc silence and the fearful silence is, say that you're on the phone with them and it's a thing that y'all do. You're on the phone every night, certain hours throughout the evening or whatever with this person, and they be like, I'm going to call you back. And this is to a fearful. And they'll be like, okay. Now, you may not, now, even though they probably called you some days, you call them back. You might not hear from the fearful a while, but it's not a silent treatment. It's that they were waiting on you to call them. They really were holding you up to calling them back. And, you know, what they do is just be like, well, since you didn't call me back, I figured you did not want to talk to me. And you're like, but the phone works both ways. You could have still called me. Like, why is it like this right now? You know, everything is good, huh? So you're questioning them. And it's just like they have a difficult time explaining the fact that they don't have that kind of understanding. But you end up figuring it out. Like, you understand that sometimes if you tell me, you know, I got to get off the phone now, I got some things to do, that I'm not going to look at it like, well, I'm not going to reach back out to them because the last time we talked, they said they had things to do. And I'm like, I mean, and you can look at it like, well, they just needed to go run to the store and get some groceries. It's not like they were leaving to go to another country and they weren't going to be able to communicate with you for a while. So it's not that hard. And you could just pick up the phone and call them if they haven't called you. Like, it goes both ways. But they really hold you to a pattern. And they expect that, you know. But again, when you reach out to them, they welcome you with open arms, you know. Unless they're starting to feel like they really don't have what they need to offer you, when they just really don't have it in them, you know. But that's another video. Now, with a narcissist, a person could, you know, y'all got that regular thing going on the phone. You talk every evening on the phone or whatever, or late at night on the phone. And so the moment you're like, look, I'm going to call you back. See, a narcissist could get so attached to you and a pattern of the way things are going to when you kind of change up a bit, they automatically take that as rejection in a way to where, oh, I feel like you're doing me like this, so now I gotta, give it to you back. And so what they do is give you the silent treatment as a form of punishment or something like that, especially if you don't call them back. If you don't call them back, they'll automatically think of ways to try to get you back because you didn't call them back. Whereas a fearful, they'll just stay away for a while. They'll stay away until you reach back out to them first. I hope I'm not confusing anybody with this. I have dealt with both types. So that's how I'm able to really fully understand how both people think and how narcissists operate. Narcissists are quick to operate based off emotions. They quick to jump in their feelings and take things in a way that it's not even like that. And a lot of times they do that to stay in control of stuff. They don't want things to change because that doesn't make them feel secure in knowing that they still got you where they want you. Narcissists look at almost anything that makes them feel good as supply. It's a hit to them. So you take that hit away and that, they make them feel away. And so now they got to show you that I don't need to deal with this. I don't have time for this. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. And you're like, what are you talking about? And what did I do? I just had to get off the phone to go and run an errand right quick. Like, you could call me back or I could call you back. And even if you do, find a moment to call them back again later on when you back in your, when you make it back to the house, they won't answer. They pick some of the most random times to just go silent on you. And then you have to kind of think back to like, well, what was the last thing we were talking about? And everything was cool. The last I remember, we was good. Like, why are they acting like this? I went through that so many times with narcissists who just, just randomly all in a sudden go silent. And I have to think back to what could have caused it. And what you don't want to do is blame yourself because you're never at fault for a person. You're not responsible for their feelings if you haven't done them anything, or said anything to them, So it's like, why are you taking it that way? And it's all about control with them. When they feel like they're losing control, they don't feel good about that. And so they have to punish you because they're losing control of you, So that's the difference between a fearful avoidant silence and a narcissist silence. A fearful avoidant is more protective and, they're afraid of rejection. So that can be the reason for their silence, most likely. And a narcissist, definitely, it's the silent treatment. They have to find a way to feel better about themselves and get their payback. And they'll definitely use the silent treatment, which is a form of punishment, to show you that that's just who they are, And then on top of that, one more thing before I end this video, of fearful, they don't really they don't deliberately try to make you feel bad. They just live in their own world. They have their own way of thinking. And when it comes to like consideration, I'll just say that it's like they expect you to go hard behind considering their feelings. And as long as you do that, everything is smooth. But the moment that things are not on that same level anymore, it's just like to them, they feel like you're not being considerate of their feelings. And you can say the same thing about them, but because you have more understanding, and you are considerate, it's just like something you don't have to speak on. You know, like the saying goes, what's understood don't have to be explained. But with the fearful, you have to constantly explain until they get it in their mind and in their heart. I'm not trying to hurt you. And it's not like that. I was busy, okay? And it's like you always have to baby them, you know, until things get back on track with y'all. And like you always have to navigate the relationship so that things can always be that, you know, good between y'all. And again, it shouldn't have to be that way between two grown-ups. Both people should be able to communicate, you know. And with the narcissist, of course, they just want to be in control. They just want to run you and control you. And what I was gonna say, it was one more thing that I meant to mention. Oh, when it comes to consideration, again, narcissists, they know that you have great consideration for them. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why they picked you. They don't consider you, and they know what it means. They know what they're doing. They just don't care. A fearful, they care. What a fearful is like, you know, I love you. I want to be with you. I don't want to be around you. Like, it's just weird. I heard somebody else say in another video, I love you, go away. It's like that's who a fearful is, you know, and it's like you know, when you miss a person because you're used to communicating with them all the time, and that's why I'm like, I would love to know how their relationship goes. Because a person like that, like, how is it living under the same roof with being in a relationship with a fearful? I got to do some research on it because I really find them interesting. I really do. Whereas a narcissist, you know, that ain't fun to talk about, but necessary, you know, because narcissists are very abusive. They love to manipulate and gaslight and just hurt you when they can't control you. But anyway, I went on enough about that. I hope y'all got it. You know, leave your thoughts down below on this. If you ever experience dealing with a fearful and their awkward silence, how long did the silence last? How did it break? Do you find yourself always breaking the silence and explaining, you know, that, you know, you can reach out to me first sometimes? You know, whereas a narcissist, we already know what type of time they on. So we don't even got to talk about that. But feel free to do that. We already know their silence is a silent treatment only. This is the punishment, you know, because you had to get off the phone last night. And I want you to give me all your time. I don't care what you got going on outside, in your life outside of me. I don't care. You know, cancel it and put me first because I need you now. You know, that's how narcissists think. And a fearful, they could let you go. They could let you go. It's like you have to say, hey, like it's a Forrest Gump moment. Hey, you could come back. You could come back now. Hey, you could come back now. It's okay. I didn't mean that. You know. And I'm not saying it like they slow or something like that. I find avoidance interesting to study. You know, I just find them interesting. You know, we all different in our own little ways and stuff. But as long as we try to be good with it, long as we try to be good and have good intention. So again, that ends this video. I did not want it to be this long. I promise y'all. But again, thank you for watching. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. And I'll talk to you soon.